Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jordan here with another Warhammer Total War Live Battlecast. In this particular game, I think I'm actually going to play the Dwarves against the Greenskins, so definitely going to try and slay some URKS. Hopefully it'll go well for me, guys. So we're going to get a Runesmith, get all the different buffs. Master and Grungni is pretty good here. I mean, again, they will bring missile units, usually like Night Goblins or Goblin Archers, so it's not uncommon. So I'd say the threat of it justifies the purchase of the Master Rune. We're also going to get a Thane here, make sure he has a nice potion. We're going to get, not a Master Engineer, not in this matchup. We're also going to get a second Thane. These guys are great because Black Orcs will often overwhelm your front line of long grids with great weapons and those type of things. So having a Thane in the mix to kind of help kind of soften that blow is very, very helpful. So we will go with that. As far as other troops go, there's kind of two options in dealing with the Cav harass. You can have just a very tight pocket, have missile troops in the center kind of shooting out at them, or you can use gyrocopters with brimstone guns, which I really, really like. We're also going to get some Longbeards, just standard Longbeards. Those are to deal with Biggins and any other low tier troops he decides to bring. So let's see, we do want a group of Slayers also. Slayers are pretty good at dealing with Cav, though you don't want them taking the charge because they do have fairly low defensive capabilities. They do an okay job. So we're also going to get, let's see, a group of Hammers is probably in order because of the Black Orcs and those type of things. And let's see, I could get like Longbeards with great weapons, but I've been like trying builds with them recently and I don't know, it just hasn't been clicking for me, guys. So I'm just going to try something a little different. So we're going to get probably two Quarrelers here just to shoot out and, pressure the opponent's missile troops. If he has a Wyvern, at least I have something that can shoot at them. So do I want to get the two Gyrocopters? It is cutting into my army quite a bit here. I could get some Grudge Throwers. That might not be bad, but, Goblin Wolf Riders and all those type of troops are very, very good at, like, getting in on those. So part of me wants to just get, like, a mobile army that's going to be constantly moving forward, but right here, my troop numbers are pretty low, but the Gyrocopters with Brimstones are really nice. But let's just get one for now, and we will get an additional Longbeard, and let's see, what else do we want to get? We probably could get rid of the Foe Seeker on these two troops, which will give me just enough for like a group of Miners. So I can just keep the Miners in the back and kind of put some Chevrons into them. And with Chevrons, they're not that much worse. I mean, if you guys look at the stat difference, although, yeah, that melee defense difference is pretty massive. Hammers are a pretty big investment as well, so I'm really going to need to be cost effective with those. I can't afford to throw those away. So, all right, let's see how this goes, guys. Time to slay some URKS. So it should be good. There is kind of a theory that getting the Quarrelers with great weapons is decent because against Black Orcs, which are probably going to comprise most of his army, they're pretty good. They can do some serious work, but Black Orcs will do a pretty good job cutting through Longbeard, so I really need to make sure these Hammers and these Thanes are carrying their weight in the front line. Against Black Orcs, I've often overcompensated. It's something I do quite a bit. I'll just get an entire front line of the Longbeards with great weapons, and the lack of melee defense can really backfire on me. So I've just been experimenting with different builds, and hopefully this one will do the job. And of course, having the High King Thorgrim in there is pretty strong. He definitely augments the ability of your troops, and he doesn't have armor piercing himself, and I also don't believe he has charge resist like Ungrim does, so he's definitely more victim to all those type of things, so we'll see how it pans out. But a nice open field here, should be good, but I am playing an aggressive dwarf strategy where I will be marching down my opponent, so it's not as big of a deal. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go 3 wide. Going 4 kind of makes my formation a little bit wider, which I don't want here. I want to be pretty tight, so High King Thorgrim can get a nice little buff spread on all these guys. We'll put the Runesmith here. Thane number 1 here, Thane number 2 here. So that's the start of our formation. We're going to put our Quarrelers in the secondary line here. All right, so that's looking good. And we're going to put one of these guys here in the back. We're going to put these guys here, and we'll put the Hammers kind of over here. Although I would like to have the Hammers kind of in the center so they can get a nice spread here, here, or here. So let's go ahead and put them here. We'll put these Longbeards in the back here. And I think I have some Miners left that need to be deployed, so we'll just put them there. So, oh, no, that was the same group. So the Slayers can go over here in this wing, guys. That's okay. So, all right, so far so good. We're going to toggle lock that formation. We're going to get our Gyrocopter online, and we are ready to party. So our armies are about the same size, so that leads me to believe that he is indeed using Black Orcs, so I need to be pretty on top of it. But what's nice is if he did bring, like, harass-type units, and what's going on here, guys? Some funny business. All right, so let's get our Gyrocopter over their stat, and they can start pressuring the Orc Boys. So, yeah, he did bring Orc Boys, which are very, very good against the Dwarves. Armor-piercing, anti-infantry, they do everything you need. And he is going to get some nice shots on me, so this is going to be pretty devastating. You can see that one shot already doing just absolutely awful damage to my forces. So he does have an Arachnarok Spider as well. So I do need to pressure these Rock Lobbers. So I'm actually going to send the Slayers over there and then maybe start posturing up against his main army and then use the Gyrocopters as well. So Slayers, I'm going to put him in group 3. Hopefully that'll pay off for me because I think the Slayers can handle the Orc Boys with the Gyrocopter support. So let's fly him right over and advance our main force here. And he does have that uphill slope, which is going to be a little unfortunate. So let's fly him over and bombs away. All right, so hopefully that'll, start to rout these guys off. And they are steady now, so you can see they did take a bit of a morale hit. So we're just going to posture here. And honestly, I should have ran up into those trees there. And I am taking some heavy-duty fire from there. And he has a Ragnarok Spider, Orc Boar Boys, other things like that. And you can see the leadership of these troops is starting to go. So let's go ahead and do another bombing run there, which will be pretty good. And also the Slayers can engage those guys. Slayers will probably win this, to be honest. They're, much more elite infantry, but he's going to want to pull out and then recharge. That's where he's going to get that kind of intrinsic benefit. So thankfully the goblins over here are going down. The Slayers did a great job of kind of pressuring these boys, and I'm going to keep chasing them. There's no point for me to kind of take my foot off the throat of those guys. So he does have some Orc Boar Boys, and those darn rock lobbers are still doing pretty well. So we're going to send the Slayers over there, who should be able to clean that up, and I would say they already generated pretty good value here. So we're going to scoot up just a little bit. We're going to posture this group here and just get ready to party, guys. The Quarterlers, we got to make sure they're not wasting their ammo on the lads, because the lads are just, they have shields and they're so expendable. So we're going to make sure they're targeting these. And we're also going to pull this guy over, have him start working the Ragnarok Spider. And the Slayers should be able to finish those rock lobbers. So they won't be shooting me, hopefully, for much longer. So my missile troops are indeed getting ready to go. We're going to posture up right there, get this guy going here, and all right, so far so good. The Slayers should finish those off, and then hopefully I can get them back into the battle lines before, things get too crazy. So we're going to use the Rune of Wrath and Rune, just kind of start working on those lads and cutting through them. And Thorgrim and the boys are ready. The Slayers are over here, and the Spider is starting to take some damage. So do want to use the charge defense, guys. Make sure that that is being used to the best of its ability. We'll get the Thanes in here and get the Thanes in here, and you can see that thing gets in there and does some serious work. So we're going to start targeting the Arachnarok Spider. Keep an eye out for his cav here. We're probably just going to use the miners, honestly, to deal with that. And maybe pull these guys over as well. So the hammers, I'm just going to go after these Black Orcs over here and just continue to pressure that Arachnarok Spider. You can see the Slayers are able to shut down the cannons, which is good. So we want to use the buffs now that he's kind of deep into my forces. Pull these Quarterlers back because he did get in there pretty aggressively with that Arachnarok Spider. So he does have some Black Orcs going, and thankfully my hammers are engaged there now. So we'll check our Thanes. We want to use the Deadly Onslaught buff on both of those. We'll get a nice little push here and a nice push there. We'll turn and shoot here, keep High King pressuring, and the Gyrocopters, of course, need to stay there. So looks like the Copters are destroyed, so we're going to bring the Slayers back. And unfortunately, I didn't have much of a choice there, because if I left those Rock Lobbers, I would have been in really bad shape. So the Thanes, what you want with the Thanes is to have them actually taking most of the damage. They're going to be really, really strong in that circumstance. And we do have some Longbeards here. We're going to pull here and pull these guys. We're going to send these guys into melee here and just start cover shooting them here. So the Slayers hopefully can get back and do well. So also we'll collapse these Longbeards here, which should be pretty good. The Runesmith, we want to check his buffs here, make sure that everything is being used. And also the High King Thorgrim, well, we can get him on here. Looks like my opponent's using some funny business here. So the Slayers are coming, and thankfully Quarterlers are very, very sturdy units. So they should be able to hold relatively well. We're going to use the leadership buff here, and we're also going to pull the High King back. The Runesmith, we're going to use the damage resistance buff. Have him keep working on that Orc War Boss, and they're actually laying the beat down on him. So the Ragnarok Spider, thankfully, is slowly getting whittled down, and the Slayers here should be able to help kind of remedy this backline problem I'm having. But I would say all the flanks are holding well. And look at these miners. Those guys are just MVPs right now. And of course, the Thanes are doing quite well. And now that the Slayers are back, we should be okay. So we're going to reposition our troops over here, and these guys are still steady. So we want to get the Slayers to finish them off. And hopefully Thorgrim is in good shape, and it looks like he is. So we'll get the Runesmith fighting there, and the hammers are penetrating this line. So it's anytime you can beat the Greenskins in their own armor-piercing game, that's going to be really nice. So his Orc War Boss is shattered, so that's a pretty devastating situation for my opponent. So we're going to pull this guy up in here. Actually, we want to reform our ranks over here because this flank is gonna lose. So we want to pull these troops back here, reform new ranks, and we got our missile troops back online, which is great. So we're going to start shooting over here, and we want to posture the Slayers up behind them to protect those guys. We'll form a new shield wall here. All right, so far so good. And the Dwarves are doing pretty good. We'll fire into those big uns, and we'll get the Runesmith as well as these Longbeards re-engaged here. All right, so far so good. So just got to keep an eye on those cav. That's going to be a very, very important thing to do. Have all the buffs up here. We're going to use the Rune of Wrath and Rune on those Black Orcs, which will be very, very strong. And, we'll just take a look around for, units that I can pressure. The Ragnarok Spider is shaken, so maybe if I dive with those Gyrocopters, it'll be able to shut them down. So my missile troops are doing a pretty good job shooting in. Just keeping an eye on his cav that's trying to be cognizant of that, and we'll get the High King in there. These miners also, they're kind of formed this new battle line here, which seems to be working out pretty well for me. And let's go ahead and check here, check on everything, make sure everyone's good. This guy I can probably go ahead and use the potion on because he is getting pretty low, and High King in here is providing a nice buff to all my troops. So the Slayers, I'm probably just going to go chase these Goblins off to protect my missile troops, but at the same time, let's actually just switch them to melee, have them finish the Goblins, and have these guys deal with the URKS back there. So use the Potion of Toughness here, check the Runesmith, make sure everything's going to code, and wow, did he just slay those Gyrocopters? I thought his leadership was closer to going down than that, so these guys are able to kind of deal with these guys. So what I'll end up doing is pulling them to deal with that Arachnarok Spider. So it's broken, so let's get them back on the Spider now, and hopefully these Quarrelers will be able to take those guys out. So we're going to use the Rune of Wrath and Rune again on those Black Orcs. It's a very valuable unit that we need to take out. So the Slayers should be able to fulfill their oath here and deal with that guy. So we're going to pull that around and check High King Thorgrim. We're going to use his leadership buffs. Great, great. And the Hammers were a great investment this game, guys. Man, they're paying their dues, paying the iron price. And the Quarrelers back here are also a testament to the fortitude of the Dwarven people and are doing a great job fending off those foul goblins. And the Slayers are all over this Arachnarok Spider right now. So I want to check the runes, make sure that's good, check High King Thorgrim, and make sure he's combat effective here. And it looks like, a lot of the Black Orcs have been whittled down over the course of this battle, and that Thane is doing great work. So back here, I did send some Longbeards to kind of pursue those guys and pressure them. So it looks like they're doing their job. So we're going to switch these guys back to ranged damage here. We're going to engage there. And all right, so everything's going to code, guys. It looks like the remaining Greenskin leadership is indeed crumbling, and the last of his units should rout off the battlefield. So very close battle. Very fun, for sure. And I think it was actually a good choice to not bring 2 Gyrocopters. You saw the one Gyrocopter was able to drop some bombs, and my Dwarven Cavalry, the Slayers, were able to get over there and clean those up. So definitely not terrible. The Arachnarok Spider did pretty well for me. Not well for me, but did pretty well for my opponent. But thankfully, the Slayers were able to get in there and pressure it. Also, the Orc War Boys were definitely a threat, but you guys can see how resilient the Quarrelers were, especially in conjunction with the support of the Slayers, and Longbeards, of course, have that pretty good charge resistance as well. So very well played to my opponent. Garfunkel, I look forward to seeing you again on ladder, and I hope you guys enjoyed that Dwarf Battlecast. Have an excellent night, and take care.